Państwo, witamy na popołudniowym bloku obrad pierwszego dnia Międzynarodowej Konferencji Naukowej Humaniści Erudyci Odkrywcy, Badacze Kultury Muzycznej. Blok ten rozpocznie Recital doktora Michała Szymanowskiego, który wykona dla nas kompozycję Fryderyka Chopina i Ignacego Jana Paderewskiego. Będą to po kolei Impromptu Fis-dur op. 36, Mazurek Giemol op. 67 nr 2 Fryderyka Chopina, a następnie usłyszymy ten mniej znany menuet Giemol op. 1 nr 2 Ignacego Jana Paderewskiego, a Recital Michała Szymanowskiego zakończą Tańce polskie op. 5 mistrza Paderewskiego.
Napoca. I na początek właśnie zapraszam panią Andrę Pătraş z jej tematem pod tytułem Wkład Constantina Brăiloiu, a ćwiczyłam w dziedzinie etnomuzykologii. So, this is our next afternoon session, and I will welcome everybody. And during this session, we will have, in fact, ethnomusicological issues, and we have 4 participants during this session from Cluj-Napoca. And our first guest is Andra Pătraş, and the topic of her paper is the contributions of Constantin Brăiloiu in the field of ethnomusicology.
Thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting us. It's a very great pleasure to be today together with you. Thank you. So, this presentation is based on a central figure in Romanian research field, the ethnomusicologist Constantin Brăiloiu, and I will try in the next minutes to highlight his contribution in the field of Romanian and global ethnomusicology. He was first interested in composition, and later he conducted a very rich theoretical activity. I will make a reference to his professional pursuits, to the development of folkloristics, referring mainly to the founding of some important institutions like his International Archive of Folklore Music, which is situated in Geneva, Switzerland. In the end, I will bring some details about my personal experience there, yes, I will try to also to say some conclusions. So, about the structure of my presentation, I will make a very short historical view of Romanian ethnomusicology in the beginning of the 20th century. After, I will try to say some very short biographical dates about Constantin Brăiloiu and also about his professional implication. He was also a composer, professor, ethnomusicologist, director, and mentor for other younger researchers. And also, as I already said, some details about my personal experience in the archive, where all the documents of Constantin Brăiloiu are situated, and also some conclusions. So, in order to understand better Constantin Brăiloiu's contribution to the Romanian ethnomusicology, I am thinking that it's very important to mention some details about the cultural context in the folkloric research at the beginning of the 20th century. Before the 20th century, the collection of the folklore was done empirically. The composer felt the richness that the folklore music have, and they started to collect this music, and they started to use it in their composition as a source of inspiration. For instance, Dumitru Georgescu-Chiriac was one of the researchers that started the systematic study on a personal method. So that was maybe one of the moments when the empirical method was abandoned. He collected, if we speak about Chiriac, he collected around 500 traditional Romanian songs, and in 1950 he was able to start a music section in the Library of Romanian Academy that started to archive folk music transcriptions. His biggest achievement was to establishment of the folklore archive of the Ministry of Culture and Arts in 1927. In 1910, he was in contact with the father of the ethnomusicology, Béla Bartók, who asked him for support in order to publish his collection in Romania. 2 years later, in 1912, the volume referring to Bartók's collection from Bihor County was into print with the financial support coming from Romanian Academy. Béla Bartók collected the first Romanian song in 1998. Soon after, he started a systematic collection that brought him in Bihor, Meziozec, that means Câmpia Transilvană, Banat, Maramureș, Pădureni County, and so on. His contribution to Romanian ethnomusicology consists in over 3,000 Romanian songs collected, recorded in 24 campaigns, and published in different collections and study. Maybe one of the most important and known is Romanian folk music, which was published after his death, is the largest one. His methods of collecting, transcribing, and organizing the melodies developed continually. Romanian ethnomusicologists only adopted his system of transcribing using the final sound sol as a final note from the scale. Now about Constantin Brăiloiu, some very short biographical data. Constantin Brăiloiu was born in 1893, and he attended schools in Bucharest, in Austria, in Switzerland, and at the Paris Conservatoire he completed his piano and composition studies. He was first interested in composition, as I mentioned already, and later he conducted a very rich theoretical activity in the field of ethnomusicology. As a composer, he created over 17 works in different genres. The mostly of them are chamber music and lieds. And many of his composition I observed that involve the piano. Notable feature in his works include the complexity of rhythm or the use of archaic pentatonic scales. Many of the lyrics of his lieds were created by himself. Constantin Brăiloiu, as a teacher or a mentor, after the First World War, he returned to Bucharest and he was appointed as a professor in the Conservatory of Music in Bucharest, where he taught music history and aesthetic. He also, in 1930, started an optional folklore course in the Bucharest Conservatoire. So he had a very important role in the foundation of Romanian ethnomusicology as an academic discipline. As a mentor in the field of folklore, he had many of former students which became researchers after. They are, or some of them are, Harry Brauner, Tiberiu Alexandru, Paula Carp, Emilia Comișel, Ilarion Cocișiu, and others, disciples who carried on the research of musical folklore at very high standards. Regarding his theoretical studies, I'm referring here Brăiloiu's studies, I would like to mention the volumes of his works, operas, edited by one of his disciples, Emilia Comișel. The volumes represent an essential contribution to the theoretical foundation of Romanian folklore studies, offering a broad perspective on a universal level. Emilia Comișel dealt with the cultural heritage left by Constantin Brăiloiu, coordinating 8 volumes of his complete theoretical works in a bilingual edition, Romanian-French. In terms of thematic nature covered, His theoretical works have addressed general issues of theory and collective creation, melody and sound system, versification and rhythmic system, as well as musicology, sociology. Starting with 1927, he collaborated with Dimitri Gusti, if we speak about Constantin Brăiloiu as a researcher, with whom he participated in a lot of research campaign in Romanian villages. He was responsible for the collection and the research of the traditional music. Brăiloiu said, I will quote, "We collect everything. We collect on one hand all the music, and on the other hand all the facts, all the information, all that has anything to do with the music, no matter how little. This material will probably not go to print entirely, but we need it for the research." I will close the quote. So, in this period when he worked with Dimitri Gusti and he started his own research in Romanian villages, he elaborated a set of rules based for a base for research methods. As an initiator or founder, Constantin Brăiloiu has a very big contribution. Together with George Enescu, Dumitru Georgescu Chiriac, and others, he laid the foundation of the Society of Romanian Composer. He also initiated the first step to establish author rights for composers. He was the supervisor of the folklore archive of Society of Romanian Composers in 1929. Brăiloiu proved to be a good organizer and at the same time a very good theorist with fundamental principles. His organizational skills became obvious in his collections and ordering the folk songs of the archive, which has approximately 30,000 songs from all areas of the country. The archive's collections is important not only in terms of size, but also in terms of scientific quality. Unfortunately, many of the materials in the collection have remained so far unpublished, but some of them were taken and studied in some theoretical researchers by a few of his co-workers. In 1944, Constantin Brăiloiu inaugurated in Geneva the Archive International de Musique Populaire, together with Eugène Pitard, who is the director of the Ethnographical Museum in Geneva, an institution that he managed until the end of his life. One of his desires was to establish a central body that would facilitate compared studies in ethnomusicology research, a desire that has fulfilled in Geneva. The initial purpose of the archive was to collect, study, and compare traditional music from all over the world. One result of his work was the creation of the universal collection of record folk music with audio material gathered between 1930 to 1953. Specifically, this collection consists of 40 CDs or records containing folklore music from 5 continents: Europe, Asia, Africa, and America. 4 continents, I'm sorry. Speaking about my visit in the archive, in 2021, I had the opportunity to visit the Archive International de Musique Populaire from Geneva with a research grant, and what I found nowadays is that the archive now is situated in two institutions. The written documents found is located in the city archive, Archives de la Ville de Genève, and you have there the website, and the audio fonts is located in Musée d'Ethnographie de Genève, where are all the sound, all the melodies digitalized. So, speaking about my experience, I recommend to all the researchers to access this archive as frequently as possible, because establishing contact with primary documentary source is a unique professional fulfillment that can make a real and rich contribution to the final outcome of the research. The museum possesses Brăiloiu's audio fonts that I already mentioned, with a collection of approximately 3,000 pieces that were collected by himself. And I would like to offer an example that from the website with one of his collection from the field, and we will hear a song that comes from the funeral ritual. This was one of his favorite topics. He researched a lot the funeral genres. And so on. So, Brăiloiu's essential contribution is in the field of methodology. Due to the work he invested in perfecting the methods and technique of research, and by imposing new orientation in the interpretation of the folkloric phenomenon and of its evolution. The musical material collected by him was systematized and classified according to his own method, which was later adopted by other specialists. The novelty resides in the correlation of folklore songs to social phenomena. Concretely, he required the listening of the informer name, age, and occupation, and then of data on the folkloric product, in other words, a biology of it. Thereby, the song received an identity, and an approximate inference could be made regarding its age, origin, function, circulation, or other references in an aesthetic nature. His methods seems to be applicable rather in socio-musical terms, as the data so collected was very helpful in configuring the repertoire of a certain area. Constantin Brăiloiu worked and contributes are true models and a step forward in developing musical folklore research. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for this very interesting paper. I think, and of course, I open the discussion. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Andra, for showing us. Thank you, Andra, for showing us the names of ethnographers we didn't know yet. So now I think we are we can speak about the musicologists from Romania. I would like to ask you, because you told us that he studied piano, he studied composition, and you show us one of his recorded material. Yes, I would like to ask you if he transcribed these songs, or did he only pozostawił left some recorded materials just.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. So he also transcribed this music. For instance, in the archive, I found out maybe 3 or 4 transcription of the same melody, so more variants of the same melody.
So I have another question, because in Poland, in interwar period, we have Reverend Władysław Skierkowski, who collected songs from Kurpia region. He was educated in music, but only on traditional music. He was organist, and his transcription are very traditional, and he didn't found any specific in his transcriptions. After the Second World War, some of ethnomusicologists went at the same terrain at the same field in which Władysław Skierkowski was years ago, and their transcriptions are quite different than the first one. What could you tell us about methods of transcription of Konstantin Brăiloiu?
Okay, so what I observed, mostly in the archive, when I saw more variants of the same song transcribed, is that he all the time bring more details. For example, in the ornaments session, for example, yes. So. He, I think, all the time tried to make a better version of what we hear to be found on the written source.
And what can you say from our point of view about this transcription? Are there good material for synthesis?
For sure, yes. They are at a very good level.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for this question. And maybe some more questions. We have, I think, a little bit time for this. No? Is it still open for anyone as an open sources, this archive which you showed
yes,
us?
this was one of the reasons that I wanted to present, because, for example, if you watch the websites, maybe I can give you the sources again. There are posted these recordings, not the documents, not the found documents. For research the found documents, you have to go there, but the persons are very nice and I think very happy to receive new researchers.
Yes, thank you for this explanation. Yes, thank you very much once again, Andra, for this very interesting paper. And I want to welcome Ciprian Mizgan-Danciu. Online, yes. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Ciprian. And the topic of your paper is academic research regarding musical folklore in Cluj-Napoca in the beginning of the 21st century.
Yes, I would like, Pavel, if possible, to go on the very first slide of the presentation. The title slide is possible. Oh, okay, thank you. It's okay. I just want to say 2 words about me. I'm very happy to be a part of your conference. We are still at the beginning in showing our results to the European research, and I think this is a very big step forward for us. And I welcome my colleagues that are there with you in the hall. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, and because of my schedule, that was very, very heavy in these days. But I hope that the next year or at the next conference, I will be there for you. I am Ciprian Mizgan-Danciu, currently a researcher at Gheorghe Dima National Academy of Music in Cluj-Napoca, also a postdoctoral researcher at Babeș-Bolyai University Faculty of History and Philosophy. And since I was a student, I have been working on researching the folklore. We can move forward. Next slide, please. In the 18th century, throughout Europe, interest in researching traditional culture and peasant customs gained increased attention, so the first publication with folklore collection began to appear. I will mention here just a few of them. In 1775, Alte Volkslieder in Germany by Johann Gottfried Herder. In 1828, Fairy Legend and Tradition of the South of Ireland by Thomas Crofton Crooker. Canti Popolari Toscani, Corsi, Lirici Greci by Tommaseo in Italy 41, etc. And in France also by Gérard de Nerval a year later. And an important moment in folklore research was in 1846 when William Thoms, who was a publisher at the British journal Athenæum Magazin, proposes the term folklore by uniting the words folk and lore, which will become standard for the field. In Romania, before the 1800s, sporadic collection of folklore were made by individuals, as my colleague just said earlier. The first important work in the folklore domain, but not music, she was interested just in the lyrics, was the work of Vasile Alexandri titled Folk Poems, Ballads, Old Songs, collected and corrected by Mr. Alexandri. It was a custom at the beginning of the Romanian folklore research activity that the collector also corrected some of the words that he misunderstood. After that, the folklorists talked very much about this. It was a good or a bad thing. I won't enter the details here, but the importance of that work from 1852 was even greater because it was also published in countries from Western Europe. I will mention here France, translated by the author in 1855, Germany in 1857, and Italy 1858. Onwards, all research and preoccupation regarding folklore will be supervised and organized and mainly funded by the Romanian Academy, and a special commission was established with this purpose. The commission was led by Mr. Alexandri. Other important research that is worth mentioning included that of Bogdan Petreicu HD, was the coordinator of a huge collection, questionnaire-based research, that was the source for the first Romanian etymological dictionary. Another research worth mentioning is that of Dimitrie Vulpian, who published the first collection of musical transcription of folklore songs. He transcribed it for piano, not very accurate, but it was the first collection of that type. After the late 1800s, when the Romanian Academy was the only national institution involved in folklore research, The early 20th century witnessed the Ministry of Culture also taking an interest in traditional culture through a series of coordinated activities. The first institution established specifically for this purpose was the Phonogram Archive, founded in 1927. A year later, as my colleague also said, Constantin Brăiloiu, who would become one of the Romanian leading researchers in musical folklore, established the Folklore Archive of the Society of Romanian Composers. Also in Cluj-Napoca, which is one of the country's main research centers, the Folklore Archive of the Romanian Academy was established 2 years later and still exists today. And in 1949, the first two institutions merged to form the Institute of Folklore. In Cluj-Napoca, alongside the Archive of Folklore, musical folklore research also took place at an academic level at the Music Conservatory, which later became Gheorghe Dima National Academy of Music. Despite socialist ideology prioritizing workers and attempting to force the migration of peasants to cities, even through mass national festivals that were, like was the Cântarea României, a very big festival organized by the socialist regime. There were also ethnomusicologists actively researching musical folklore at Gheorghe Dima National Academy of Music. Notable figures include Professor Traian Mârza, Ioan R. Nicola, János Jogomos, and Ileana Senic. As democracy began to take root in Romania in 1919, after 1990, the academic community shifted its focus from socialist ideology towards scientific activity. During this period, 3 new professors joined the Gheorghe Dima National Academy of Music, namely Ioan Haplea, Doina Haplea, and Ioan Bocșa. The latter, being raised in a village near Alba Iulia and passionate about folklore with prior field collection experience, secured significant funding to organize and coordinate a team dedicated to collecting and valorizing musical folklore, particularly carols. In 1997, Ioan Bocșa conducted a research project that aimed to collect and publish 400 carols. The project followed a methodology consisting of 3 main stages. First stage was selecting the research area and conducting field work. The second stage, archiving, transcribing, and analyzing the material. And the last stage was editing and publishing the material. Due to its pioneering nature, the team was small at that time, mainly comprising individuals that were involved in all the 3 stages of work. The selected area contained the counties of Alba and Hunedoara, highlighted in the map, the richest region in terms of carol repertoire in Romania. The project exceeded expectation. 1,884 carols were collected with the assistance of teachers from the targeted area, hence the name of the 2 volumes, 1,884 carol with text and melody. Volume 1 contains musical transcription, while Volume 2 contains the lyrics. The musical material was largely transcribed using the system proposed by the Finnish ethnomusicologist Ilmari Kron and used by Bela Bartok with the G finale that he called the tonus finalis. And the texts were organized based on criteria proposed by philologist Monica Brătulescu, who established 10 main thematic categories for Romanian carol, which resulted in 132 subcategories. Notably, some students who participated in this project, me included, later became university teachers, and the only unfulfilled task was the development of a typological musical classification system. To achieve this final objective, Professor Ioan Bocșa enlisted Professor Elena Senic from the old generation of teachers that I mentioned earlier in a larger research team that, along with some new students who will also later become university teacher, Associate Professor Alina Stan is there with you and follows me with her communication. So on the same material, the new team made some several improvements. The improvements were: the collection now was preceded by an extensive introductory study presenting morphological characteristics, typological classification principles, and the importance of rhythmic patterns. Musical typology classification, which was the unachieved goal for the first collection, was based on criteria such as stanza structure, modal state, and melodic profile. We can see on the screen the 4 melodic profile types and their variants. The relative transcription system proposed in 1960 by Paula Karp was used. Paula Karp creates a unified modal scale for the traditional Romanian repertoire, and we used it on transcribing all the carols. The scale is roughly explained the result of transcribing a large number of folklore songs without using any alteration or exceeding the staff, and overlapping the resulting scale in order to see similarities. We can see that there on the bottom. Another significant addition consists in the 2 audio CDs containing 75 carols or carol fragments from the collected material, which is very useful for the researchers who have the book. We will listen to the last 7 stanza of a carol, where the full stanza, the full form of the stanza, appears only at the end, a type of carol commonly encountered that we call carol with closure. Thank you. The importance of Colinde Românești was also proved by the fact that it received the Ciprian Porumbescu Prize for Musicology in 2003 from the Romanian Academy, being the highest Romanian prize in this field of work. Here we can see Professor Bocșa receiving the award. Following the same model, after 5 years of research in the Sălaj County, using the same methodology, 2 volumes on traditional vocal music from Sălaj were published. This time, various music genres were collected, not just carols. Ritual songs, songs for harvesting, wedding songs, funeral songs, recruiting songs, and also proper songs. The 2 volumes are organized by musical genre, this time with the lyrics being presented alongside musical transcription. We will listen to a sample of a proper song from this collection, just the first 2 stanzas of it.
Acolo jos între hotară, acolo jos între hotară, este unul cu frunza rară, în vârvuțul nucului mă, ai în vârvuțul nucului mă. ai cântă puiul cucului, mă.
Thank you. The next book, focusing on the Apuseni Mountains region, was published 4 years later, following the same model. Here we can see the team with their specific roles. This time, several instrumental songs were also collected, and we have a brief audio example along with the musical transcription. Thank you. In the same direction, other products of this team's research emerged, including the catalog Carol in Transylvania or traditional vocal music from Ținutul Pădurenilor, the land of foresters. I choose not to speak about these two books because the catalog is a standalone work that needs separate attention, and my dear colleague Alina Stan will inform you thoroughly about the research that was made in Ținutul Pădurenilor. Along these books, a series of audio CDs were published featuring carols and ritual songs performed by the specialized Romanian traditional music ensemble from the Gheorghe Dima National Academy of Music, coordinated by Professor Ioan Bocșa and instructed by Associate Professor Alina Stan. In addition to their research team activities, each member also published individual books related to musical folklore research. I would like to mention that other individual research projects took place at Gheorghe Dima National Academy of Music that were not mentioned in today's presentation, as it focused on the main research team only. The team works continues with ongoing projects including field research, audio recordings, translation into English of already published volumes, and the organization of the International Conference of Ethnomusicology and the publication of the journal Etnomuzykologiczne. I will end my presentation pointing out a few general conclusions. At the initiative of Professor Ioan Bocșa, in almost 20 years, a solid research team was established at Gheorghe Dima National Academy of Music. During the years, the research projects were carried out more thoroughly, more and more genres being targeted. The team members involved also began to have personal projects in the field. In 2022, the Ethnomusicology Research Center was established, along with the first edition of the International Conference in Ethnomusicology and the Etnomuzykologiczne journal. And this year, in 2024, the center will organize the first edition of the National Symposium Traditional Music for Students. New students and PhD candidates are periodically invited to join the research team. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for accepting me at this wonderful conference.
Thank you very much, Ciprian. And do we have any questions from the audience? Thank you very much for this presentation about this great, huge project, I think. It's very impressive. Well, maybe.
Thank you very much for your contribution. I would like to ask you, because you told that the new book used material from the last years, yes? I would like to ask you if you compare this material with material collected in the beginning of the 20th century, because we know that folklore is not constant. Folklore is changing every 150 years, now maybe even faster, yes? So I'm interested if something is changing in Romanian folk music.
Yes, the biggest change, and I think that this is the one that worries us a little bit, is that more and more people are not living at the countryside anymore. So we had some small research in the same areas that we targeted years earlier, and we found the very same songs that we collected years ago at the very same, that being almost identical. But the problem is that many of them were lost in I think several years, not just on 1 year, like the difference between our first two collections, but in 10 years, many people that know the repertoire are not living anymore in the countryside, being old people, and many of these songs are lost. Because of that, I think that it's very important to conduct field research and to save what we can save for the next generation. I use this word, but we have colleagues at the National Academy of Music that do not like the word to save folklore. They think the folklore is not to be saved. The folklore has its timeline, and we must respect that. But I think we owe to the next generation to collect what we can and to show them how was the folklore in the in the first 10 years of the 21st century, for example.
Yes, thank you very much. Any more question? I have one, very, very short. I don't know if you can answer me that question, but can you tell us, is these records have any other, second life, like for inspiration of composers or transcriptions or other maybe possibilities of using this?
Yes, thank you for this question. It's a very important one. We already have some composers, professors and also students from the National Academy of Music in Cluj-Napoca that wrote songs mainly for choir or leads based on the folk songs we collected. And we also try, and now we are involved hopefully in a huge project, we try to put all our archives online that everybody who is interested in this music can access them and see how we work, how we translate and transcribe the material, and maybe use it if they want to.
Yes, thank you very much. It's very great. It's great, really. Thank you very much once again, Ciprian, for your answers. Yes, and I would like to welcome Alina Stan, our next speaker. Her paper, the title of her paper is Ethnomusicological Field Research in the Land of the Foresters, Hunedoara. This is southern Transylvania, very interesting, I think, region for us, during the last century. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. We are so glad to be here. And as you have presented me, I would like to tell you and describe this beautiful area in Romania called Ținutul Pădurenilor, Pădureni. And if you can see on the map of Romania is the highlighted area marked with red. And this is in South Transylvania on the eastern side of the Poiana Ruscă mountains. From the ethnographical and ethnomusicological perspective, the whole land is a very well-defined archaic territory, preserving a rich material and immaterial heritage. This area sparked the interest of researchers as early as the 90s. historian, geographers, archaeologists, ethnographers, and so on. The first musical research in this area was made by Belo Bartók, starting in December 1930 and in January 1914, arriving in 5 villages. He collected around 80 vocal songs of different folk genres. Funeral ritual song, bride song, carols, laments, old-style song, and also dance melody, and of course 120 instrumental melodies played on bagpipe and whistler, all the recordings being made on phonograph cylinders. This whole material was published posthumously in the collection Romanian Folk Music in 1967, and the carol were published earlier in 1935 in the collection Melodien der rumänischen Kolinde Weihnachtslieder. Bartók was impressed by the material he found in this quite small area, and he held in March 1940 a very important conference at the Ethnographic Society in Budapest. And he invited, like you can see in the photo, 4 young people from the village Cerbăl, a bagpiper, a whistler, and 2 girls, vocal girls, to sustain his conference. And why is this day very important for us? Because it was the first recordings on gramophone made on this day. 141 melodies, Romanian melodies, were recorded on gramophone. I propose you to listen one example of an old melody recorded on that day by these 2 girls, Suzana and Maria Costa, with the song Ce badie de nu mai viniu, and this is meaning, why are you not coming, my love? Regarding the instrumental repertoire collected by Bartók, in this area the specific instrument was the bagpipe. I say was because traditionally this instrument was made by the bagpipe players or craftsmen, but in our days this knowledge and practice is lost, this instrument being manufactured abroad in Budapest. I propose you to listen to a short fragment of a dance melody called in Romanian Ardeleană, recorded in 1940. In the footsteps of Bartók, after the Second World War, this area was being marched by the researcher from the Folklore Institute in Bucharest regarding musical, literary, and choreographic direction. The research extended over 15 years, a large period of time, in 12 villages, the collection being made on phonograph cylinders and on tape recorders. They intended to make a large monography, but the research was completed with the publication of a quite reduced musical material, about 144 songs. In this volume, you can see on the slide anthology folkloric from this area, published in 1964. The collection includes carols, funeral song, bride song, and all-style melody. During this field research, they have found one informant from Bartók time, one girl, Susanna Costa, now a married and quite old woman, in 1954, Crăciunesc Susanna, and she sang the same melody when she was young, Ce badie de numai viniu, quite similar. I don't have the recordings, I can sing it a little bit for you. Ce badie de numai viniu, ce badie de numai viniu. Poate te gândește-ți în eu, poate te gândește-ți în eu. Îi nu știu șuba nu găsește, îi nu știu șuba nu găsește. Bravo! Thank you! And our research. In our traditional vocal music module in our academy, studying for the first time this musical material from the two previous mentioned collection, we were impressed by the variety, beauty, and complexity of these melodies. As a consequence, in the summer of 2017, we conducted an exhaustive research in the area, together with our professor, here in the picture, Ioan Bocșa. We were in the village up high in the mountain. We aimed to see the current situation in the field more than 100 years later after the first research of the Bartók. We had the chance to meet and collaborate with a very important researcher from Bucharest, Rusalin Istvănoni, who worked at the Bucharest Village Museum, but he is born in this area. And in the 1980s, he conducted the most extensive research in the area, describing all the customs and tradition of this area. And he provided us with the musical material collected in the research, almost 200 melodies from 13 villages. So, between June and August 2017, we carried out an extensive research in the area. You can see here the map of the area, going through all 30 villages and hamlets, the result being the collection of 336 melodies. With yellow, you can see the Bartók collection, blue, Bucharest collection, and with red, our collection. We started our research in the village called Cerișor, meeting this old woman with an exceptional voice, and she sang to us over 40 songs from different genres. Bride song, funeral song, laments, all-style song. She is wonderful. And I will propose you to listen a short fragment because we don't have a lot of time. But this melody is adapted to his age. She sang so, I will like to go in the night to meet the dead. But we have a surprise. We have found her when she was 18 years old in the Bucharest collection. You can see also a picture of this woman, and she sang the same melody but with a love lyrics, because she was just married. Yes, just listen. The same melody. So all this material we have collected in 2017, we have analyzed and classified typologically in this volume, and we have different genres: bright ritual song, going to the army, funeral song, laments, carols, and non-occasional repertoire, of course, old-style song, modern style song, and vocal dance music. And in the end, we have also instrumental melodies and also a CD with this music, and I have transcribed musically the entire material. And the research is completed with this publication, with the publication of this volume here. So, because we are so happy due to the fact that we have at our disposal musical material from this time of collection in this area, we have discovered that certain melodic type have perpetuated over the years, and some are lost of the years. So I propose you to listen short fragments of different folk genre, and below I have wrote the variants published in the two previous collections. They are the same. Only a short fragment. Okay, and you can see also the picture of people who have sang to us in the field. Going to the army is a very new one because we don't find it in the previous collection. We can go further. Regarding the funeral repertoire is very well represented, and this practice are still alive in this area, and they have pre-Christian origin. I don't know if you have heard about the fir tree. It's a practice funeral. Sorry, not having time to explain to you, but a lot of variants, and also in Bartók and Bucharest collection, are found the same, exactly the same. Just listen one strophe. It's Cetino de brad, cete oblișitu. It's like the fir tree, the green fir tree from the forest. Sing in group. This is unusual because laments usually are singing individually. And in this area, the women are singing with a very loud voice, strong voice, metallic voice. And the laments are different from the ritual song because they have descendant line and also always addressability to the mother, the father, the husband, or who is dead. Repertoire is very well represented in this area, and in the picture it was the last day in this area was in the 15 August St. Mary To us, we are in a church, and in the middle is the priest, and he sang to us over 30 carols, but like carols. And this is very unusual because the priests are singing a religious one. And please listen one melody of this.
Lina mi lina leroi mi
The non-occasional repertoire is also very well represented, 150 melodies. In the area, we found a lot of people with exceptional voices, not one or two. And like I've said, they are having this specific way of singing, like in ritual melodic types. So, if I have shown you genre and only saying that there are variants, now I want to demonstrate it with a genre which usually is not well surviving during a century, because ritual songs are supposed to remain unchanged. But in the non-occasional genre, I invite you to see together the changing we can find. So the first example is from Bartók collection from 1930, an old style song, trill melodic line. Just hear it. In Bucharest collection is the same melody we have heard, but the melodic line are amplified with A, B, C, C. We go further, and in the research of Rusalini Svanoni in 1982, we found the same type.
Lasă-mă, Doamne, să mor, mă. Lasă-mă, Doamne, să mor, mă. Brațele cui mi dormă.
The same melody we found that also with refrain, with a large refrain. And in our research, we have found this melody a little bit changing.
Jelui, mor, jelui, jelui, moș n-ancui, jelui, moș codrului.
As you have seen and heard, the non-occasional repertoire can support changes, adding melodic line, refrains, or changing the cadence and melodic profile. At the end of our collection, we have included also instrumental melody played on whistle, and I propose you to listen to a short fragment, and you can hear also the step of the dancers. I have wrote a statistic regarding the age and gender of the person. This is very important for us because elderly people are still knowing to sing this song, about 15, 60, 70, 80, and so on. If we compare the recordings made during the last century, the number of melodies has increased with each campaign of gathering in the field. You can see the number of villages and the collection. And I would like to thank all the people from the villages we have met, and they have sang to us, and I want to thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Alina, very much. It was very interesting, I think. And I have a small question for you. Do you have any idea or maybe suggestion why some of these melodies are still present and are still sung, singing, and some of them are not?
Okay, one motive can be this material, archaic one, is still kept in this area because it's a mountain area. They don't have road to the national road, or how can I say, or even they don't have television in the houses, perhaps radio. So a reason to keeping and singing this melody is because they are still practicing this, and the old women are still gathering together in the evening nights and work together and sing together. Why a melody is kept and a melody is not, the ritual one are kept. But the individual one, I think, goes to a natural process. What is beautiful and I can learn from my neighbor or my mother or my grandmother, I will memorize, not with my will, but I will memorize and I will transmit it further. And what is not beautiful or something is happened there, it's lost. It's simple.
Yes.
It's a natural process of...
Natural process, yes. I think it's explained everything. So, well, have we got any questions? Any more questions?
Just maybe a comment. You have great situation because your archive are still live. We have one absolutely great archive of traditional music in Poland and the second one in Warsaw. And both of them were destroyed during the Second World War.
Oh,
so we have nothing before 1945. You have material to compare something. We have Oskar Kolberg and then some individual collectors. And then after the Second World War, very big, very short, very large action of collecting folk material.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just. So we are sorry.
And we are grateful for this research from the first part of the century, who have made a great deal searching almost all the area of Romania.
It's very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And we have another participant during this session, Alexandra Magazin. And the subject of her paper is composer Marcel Michalovici, From Romanian Folklore to French Stylistic Refinement. Welcome. Okay.
Hello everyone. Thank you for this invitation for this wonderful conference, and I'm glad to be here in Poland. It's my first visit here. Okay. That's good. Thank you. This paper aims to bring to the forefront the artistic personality of Marcel Michalovici, to highlight details about his life and work while focusing the research of his piano creation. The content of this work is grounded in a significant collection of unique documents sourced from important archives such as Paul Zacher Foundation in Basel, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, Médiathèque de Musique Gustave Mahler, and Inatec Paris, and Conservatoire National Supérieur de Musique et de Danse in Paris. These sources form the foundation for shaping an authentic and comprehensive picture of Marcel Michalovic's life, career, and contributions. By delving into these documents, we aim to shed light or lesser known or unknown aspects of his composer, thereby contributing recognition and enhancement of his impact of the history of music. The composer Marcel Michalovici is considered nowadays as one of the cultural elites of Romanian origin who asserted himself abroad in Paris. Discovered and appreciated firstly by George Enescu, the composer was formed under the guidance of Dimitri Cuclin in Bucharest and of Vincent Dindy in Paris. Moreover, during his career, he established contact with remarkable personalities of international cultural life. The pianist Monica, his wife, the writer Samuel Beckett, and the conductor Paul Zacher, among many others. Born in Bucharest in 1898, Marcel Michalovici was influenced in choosing a musical career by his father, who played at the violin. I quote, Viennese valses and Romanian songs, all of this, as the composer confessed, fascinating my ear as a child, and most admired this to date this. You can still find the echoes of those fascination in my music. I do not think of becoming a musician. I close the quote. Also, Marcel Michalovici had an uncle, a remarkable musician who studied with Joseph Marsic in Paris and was a classmate of George Enescu. His first notion of harmony were acquired from Franz Fischer, a violinist of orchestra of the Ministry of Education, and from Benjamin Barfeld, a former pupil of Enescu in Paris. The artist began his basic musical studies with Dimitrie Kuklin, harmony and musical aesthetic, and Robert Kremer, counterpoint, and later being the teacher who introduced him to Enescu for the first time. I quote, "I want to take you to Enescu to show him the counterpoint homework and the composition you have made." I close the quote. Mihalowicz recalled the moment of meeting with the author of Oedipe from his note, and it's clear that the young musician concerned for composition has convincing outcome. But unfortunately, the samples of the creative beginning were being lost for the posterity. I quote, "And Enescu was looking at my exercise and seemed interested. At the end, I showed him my composition as well. It was a violin piece and the string quartet. Enescu asked me if I like Debussy. Unfortunately for me, the quartet and many other works disappeared from my house in Paris in 1943 alongside all my childhood manuscripts. A string quartet, a piece for orchestra, a cantata that I finished in 1938. In Bucharest, many works from my parents' house disappeared as well. I had a sonata for violin, a trio with piano, a trio for strings, all disappeared." I close the quote. Even if the early but still important evidence of his talent are irretrievable, the value of Marcel Mihalowicz in the field of composition has been confirmed since 1980, when the Year's World was awarded the second mention of George Enescu contest for his Nocturne for piano. Mihalowicz confessed that Enescu guided him to enroll in Schola Cantorum, Paris, but unfortunately he had exceeded the age threshold. The students enrolled there must be to maximum 20 years old, while the artist had already 21 at this time, and decided to still participated several important courses between 1919 to 1925, where he had Nestor Lejeune at violin, Léon Saricoeur in harmony, Amédée Gastouet, Gregorian chant and musical folklore, and Vincent Dindy, composition and conducting, as mentors. The period of study in Paris between 1990 to 1925 played a key role in the formation of Mihalowicz as an artist, not only because of exceptional teachers he had in French capital, but also because of the effervescent cultural life of the City of Lights. The year of 1990 has also affected Mihalowicz' personal life, because in Paris the artist met the woman who would become his wife, the famous pianist Monikas. As the composer himself states, in relationship with Monikas has a direct impact of his career, the pianist playing a dual role as a collaborator and artistic advisor. I quote, "I would like to say what I owe to the pianist Monikas. She is not only my wife as a friend, but she is also my closest collaborator. Thanks to her, I discovered realms of music that I previously ignored. We talked about music together, we did a lot of music together. I never wrote a single note without showing it to her first and asking for her opinion. I lived a life, an extraordinary collaboration in the etymological sense of the word. This collaboration abandons the ordinary sphere. I owe great gratitude for everything she gave me." I close the quote. The life and musical activity of composer will unfold between the Schola Cantorum and his native country. Thus, the artist will become the founding member of Society of Romanian Composer, together with elites of local music life like Constantin Brăiloiu, George Enescu, Mihail Jora, Alfred Alexandrescu, Ion Onatesca, and many others. As from 1928, Mihalowicz joined to the group called École de Paris, name attributed by critic José Brie, and take from the fine arts from the school with the same name who have Modigliani, Picasso, Braque, Kisling, Dali, and Kandinsky, and its representative. As a curiosity and coincidence in the same time, we point out that Mihalowicz dedicated his talent to visual arts. His paintings are very close in style those of Modigliani. École de Paris include like composer like Conrad Beck, Alexander Cherepnin, Bohuslav Martinu, and Tibor Harshany. The stylistic feature that united the artists of this group, except for Conrad Beck, was the valorification of some melodic rhythmic elements from the folkloric genre of their native countries. The person who supported the composer of École de Paris was Michel Dillard, director of publishing house La Sirène Musicale. Although already established in French capital, Marcel Mihalowicz was actively involved in action carried out in Romania. Between 1929, the composer participated in Third International Congress and Dramatic of Musical Critics, held in Bucharest and Sinaia. Between 1932 and 1939, Mihalowicz was founding member of Triton Chamber Music Society, along with Arthur Honegger, Sergei Prokofiev, Darius Milhaud, Henri Tomasi, Tibor Harshany, Jean Rivet, and Jacques Ibert. This society proposed to propagate music through organized concert, Romanian composition being also performed. At the end of 1944, a group of musicians was formed called Gloxinia, after a plant from the tropical region of Americas, an idea launched by Alexis Roland Manuel. Darius Milhaud was appointed to lead the group, and Alexis Roland Manuel was appointed Secretary General. After the liberation of Paris, the musicians who were part of National Front Resistance organization wanted to continue their mission and organize evenings to present their latest works. One of the high points of Gloxinia was the evening of 1945, held exceptionally of Cirque du Royaumont, when the Prix Chabrier, created by Gloxinia, and this prize was awarded to a young candidate from Prix Durand, who has been excluded for the first official prizes despite his merits. As the vote had remained secret, all the Gloxinians present wore masks. You see that in these pictures. The recognition he won over the years was reflected in numerous distinctions and awards were given to the Romanian composer established in Paris. Like all these prizes, the prize from SACEM in Paris 1966 and Grand Prix Ville de la Paris 1972. Marcel Mihalowicz was a promoter of the value transmitted by his predecessors, but also a follower of ideas of his contemporaries, giving special attention in particular to the works created by Romanian musicians. Being an author of large numbers of opuses, they were included in the international repertoire, but less in the national one. Mihalowicz showed a special interest in chamber music, symphonic music, dramatic genre, vocal symphonic creation, vocal music, choral music, film, and radio music. Even if the piano works do not represent the most prolific segment of Marcel Mihalowicz's creation, they faithfully respect the evolution of his musical language and composition technique over time. Like in the case of the genre approached by the composer in the piano creation, one can clearly distinguish distinguished in the influences of the era in which he created, but also imprints of the Romanian folklore, assimilating his music in a personal manner. To demonstrate the specific future of the piano creation, I ultimately choose the œuvre Ricercari, variațiuni libre pour le piano, to emphasize the analytic and stylistic element, as well as the similarity to other works belonging to the composers Sigismund Toduță and Georgianescu. The piano work was composed in Cannes between August-October 1941, as the author mentions at the end of the score, and was edited by Hugel in Paris in 1950. Dedicated to the pianist Monikas, who always offered the privileged place for contemporary music in her programs. The song was first performed in November 1945, and in 2006 this performance was transformed in a compact disc. Ricercari, Opus 46, consists in 11 free variations in which the main theme is of a tonal but no dodecaphonic essence. This opus combines two opposites defined by combination of rigorosity, austerity leading of the theme, and freedom, figuration, and counterpointing the theme. The first variation has the appearance of passacaglia, this analogy being allowed by inclusion of the agogic indication written in the score by composer, tempo di passacaglia. And we can distinguish similarity with passacaglia by Sigismund Toduță in terms of formal thinking, of expression indication written in French, of written of theme which is stated in parallel octave. And the next example is from Sigismund Toduță Passacaglia. The idea of bringing an old form in actuality by adopting a language of clear modern orientation is pushed by Mihalowicz to new horizons. In the fifth variation, Mihalowicz adds ragtime rhythm through syncopes, and in the sixth variation, he prints a blue character on this discourse. And the blue character the eighth variation refers to impressionistic art through its craftsmanship and harmonic language. Although the Ricercari is a precursor of fugue, and it's defined by the presence of contrapuntal texture, Mihalowicz work recalled the imitative technique in only a few moments. In 18th variation, however, he exposes an entire melodic garland in stretto. variation has a scherzo character in manner of Prokofiev, and the last variation adopts the form of fugue in four voices, legitimizing the title of work with a clear reference to the polyphonic music. But fugue writing is also combined with two other species of Baroque music, and there are also similarities with pieces by Romanian composer for the first half of 20th century. Within the 11th variation, we find similar passage to Toccata by Georgescu from the piano suite Opus 10, composed in 1903. Georgescu, piano suite number 2. While being a valuable work in the catalogue of Mihalowicz creation, Richard Carey represents a good example of fusion between several different styles. By adopting a new classical attitude, the author combined elements of expressionism, harmonic language, impressionist moment, and jazz, suggesting in the pages of its score, all under the pretext of reviving a form of early Baroque. In conclusion, Mihalowicz' activity, the piano, has played a significant role, being one of the favored means of expression, laboratory of his compositional language, and privileged territory of artistic collaboration with Monikas. Viewed from a historical perspective, his piano music is situated in the continuity of the direction of French Impressionism, an aesthetic to which Mihalowicz felt attached. Alongside this influence from the earliest opuses, one could feel a clear affinity between the composer and the traditional musical background, present either in the form of his own melodies in the Romanian style or in the form of allusion to the folkloric intonation of his native country. But these two characteristics, apparently stylistically opposite, are grafted into a throughout knowledge of cultured musical tradition, giving rise to Mihalowicz' unmistakable compositional profile that of a genuine original artist anchored in tradition, but at the same time seeking original solution. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. I have just a comment, maybe, that's how very influenced and somehow magical place was Paris at that time, yeah? Because we have also many composers who are great influenced by this atmosphere, I think, and very important figures of this artistic life at this time. So have we got any questions to this paper? Yes?
Question if Mihalowicz left any letters, any sketches about thinking about Romanian folklore. Because in Poland this time, many composers wrote about folklore, the role of folklore, so they left us their aesthetic view on traditional music.
Thank you for this question. Mihalowicz didn't explain how him put the folklore, Romanian folklore, in his creation, because him was very young when he left Romania, and she didn't have this explanation, and no, I didn't found schedules or something about the Romanian folklore, but if you listen.
In his correspondence, thoughts about traditional
No, in correspondence, no, because I found all of the letters in Paul Zahăr Foundation, but I didn't found some paragraphs who him explained the folklore. But in many others studies, I found some explanation about the Romanian folklore music. You're welcome.
Any other question? I can't see any, so thank you very much once again. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I think that I can close this session. And I hope we'll meet tomorrow. Yes. Tomorrow morning. Thank you very much once more.